Hi everyone, my name is Erin Olanek and I'm an English teacher here at SEBS, and I'm in an English classroom right now. This is actually my desk. So the three pillars of the English curriculum here at SEBS are close reading, lively discussion, and very frequent writing. So for close reading, our curriculum samples some of the greatest books of world literature, what Matthew Arnold would have called the best of what's been thought and said. The students read this literature, discuss it in these lively classroom settings. We encourage debate. I encourage the students to come prepared to ask each other questions, to basically run the class themselves with me as a moderator, and we work up to them sustaining the discussion themselves over the course of the year so that by the end they're practically running the classroom. And frequent writing is so important to the curriculum here at SEBS that we actually have an entire class devoted to it. In the 9th grade, the students take a literature class and then they take freshman writing, which is devoted entirely to writing all different types of papers, creative work. They write poems, short stories. In my class, they write narrative nonfiction as well. They write movie reviews, food writing, all different types of genres to get them equipped to feel as comfortable writing as possible and to be writing as frequently as possible. The boys continue writing intensely and frequently over the course of their entire career here at SEBS, and this helps them obviously with college papers. It helps them in every aspect of their future lives. But more importantly, frequent writing and being able to write well really helps our students to think well and to be able to form their arguments coherently and cohesively. And I think this just sets them up for success in all parts of their lives. And the reading that they do and the great literature that they're exposed to also really helps to broaden their minds, to develop their empathy for others, to develop their moral sense, and just to give them a view of the world, to help them travel without going anywhere. And each one of the teachers here in the English department seems to have kind of a signature element of the course that they've developed on their own. It's a way, I think, that the entire department has here, the entire English department has, of making great reading and writing something that the boys can really make personal, make their own, and that they can become comfortable with on a deeper level. Thank you for joining us for Open House. Thank you for your interest in the school, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
I'm Chase McCann. I'm a freshman at St. Sebastian's. And before I came to St. Sebastian's, English was never really one of my favorite subjects. I enjoyed reading, but I never wanted to really analyze the books or write about them. And I would always have a hard time getting started writing whenever we'd have an assignment to do so. But then after I came to St. Seb's, it really exposed me to writing and really grew on me. And now writing and English are one of my favorite subjects. And every time we have to write, I actually get excited about the prospects of what I can do with it. So in 7th grade, I had Mr. Cornish as a teacher. And Mr. Cornish really focused on the technical side of writing with sentence structure and grammar and vocab, and really improving the technical side of your writing. Then in 8th grade, I had Mr. Adams. And Mr. Adams really focused more on individual thought and creative writing, which also helped shape me as a writer. And with those two combined, it really helped improve my writing in a technical standpoint, a creative standpoint, and just all around, where before, when my writing would be really plain and kind of monotone, it's much more diverse and exciting now. I'm glad I was able to share my experience with you, and I hope you enjoy the open house.
Good evening, I'm John Eaton. It's my 17th year at St. Sebastian's. I teach religion at the school and I run the community service projects at the school. And a lot of people are wondering what occurs in the religion department in the classroom. And in reality, what we're trying to do is that every boy at the school, no matter what their background, begins to get a firm understanding of the teachings of Christ and the teachings of loving God and loving neighbor, and which we believe are universal truths that all people can be enhanced by, and that our young people also begin to live this message. And I'm privileged in my role as a community service director to be able to see that. And our younger students, as the freshmen, has a project of the Miracle League. And this is a project where young guys go out to, on a Saturday morning, to play baseball with students who have disabilities. And many of our students have been engaged in athletics their whole life. And this is a chance for them to reach out to people who may not have that same opportunity. And when seeing our guys go out, they're filled with joy in working with young adults with disabilities, and to see them run around the bases, pushing a wheelchair, they give of themselves, and they learn, and they see in concrete detail what those messages they've learned in the classroom. And I see that throughout the community. I'm reminded of the father-son Chopathon, the Pine Street. And every year we go into Boston to the Pine Street Inn, and we have the huge collections of produce, and we go there on a Sunday morning, and fathers and sons are committed to living for others and to recognizing poverty and hunger in the world and making efforts to eradicate that and making efforts to be aware of that. So to see concrete detail in the lessons we've taught in the religion department and see the people putting that faith into action. That's the expectation of all the people here, and it's carried out by our students, by our faculties, and our families. I'm blessed to have a role in that and to witness that each day.
Hi, my name is Gabe Tuig. I'm a senior here at St. Sebastian's. And I'd like to, share with you a little experience of mine. My first memory of St. Sebastian's actually occurred in the 6th grade when I hadn't even attended SEBS yet. I would have a half day every, first Friday, and my dad would come pick me up from school, and we'd head on off and pick up my two brothers, who actually were attending SEBS at the time. And we'd always arrive here at 1:45 and attend 1:45 benediction. And really that experience of attending benediction and really becoming a part of the SEBS community, even though I hadn't even attended the school, was just a really great experience. And it made me feel welcomed. And I think when I started attending and really became a student, I continued this tradition of going to benediction. And I realized how important it was, not only just as to improve me as a person, but to strengthen and deepen my faith as a person as well. The fact that SEBS integrates this chapel and benediction really at the heart of our campus allows students to develop and to grow, not just as Christians, but also as people as well, and to deepen their faith. And I think it really speaks to St. Sebastian's ability to not only help students grow physically and academically, in sports and academics, but also spiritually. And I think that's one of the most important core values we hold at St. Sebastian's here. And I've really enjoyed being a part of this community as a result of that. Thank you so much for attending tonight's open house, and I hope you guys have a great rest of the night.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Dave Wilbur. I'm the chair of the science department at St. Sebastian School. Welcome to our school and to my physics classroom. The goals of the program are kind of simple. They're threefold. One, we want to develop problem solvers. Two, we want to develop critical thinkers. And three, we want to develop an appreciation by these boys for the natural world. And how do we do that? Two ways. One, we have a rigorous program in terms of the classes themselves. And then within those classes and outside of those classes, we have tremendous hands-on opportunities. In terms of the hands-on aspects of the course, I'd like to highlight a few things for you. In the middle school, we have set labs, but what we often do is what I call an EOS program, Experimental and Observational Sciences, or I refer to as Eternally Optimistic Skeptic program. Basically, when students have questions about something in the real world, if we can test it, we'll often take on that challenge. So for instance, a couple of years ago in the 7th grade course I happened to be teaching, we decided that everybody had a water bottle on his desk. It's like, well, which one's best? Yeah, we got to a big debate about it, and we figured, well, let's test it out. So we all engaged in a group activity of designing the experiment, performing the experiment. We got thermoses, we got Yetis, we got hydro flasks, all going at it, taking advantage of the biology refrigerator and some of their equipment. And again, the kids were engaged. They were motivated by their own desire to understand. It wasn't us sort of forcing that upon them. And we had a blast with that. Other examples in biology, they do tomato plant projects where they get to choose some of the variables they want to use to test to see how that affects the growth of the plant, including things like music or talking nicely to it and see how that goes. Chemistry, we call it a sports drink experiment where they get to look at the various sports drinks they like to drink and evaluate the concentration of ions and the types of ions, and then sort of look at, do those things actually do anything for us, or do they do what they say? In physics, we have some by the seat of our pants experiments. For instance, recently we decided to test Flex Seal. You've probably seen the commercials. But does that stuff really work? The answer is yes sometimes and no sometimes, but the students got to figure that out for themselves. In the physics department, we, every junior year, basically do a mousetrap car project, which gets these guys doing their scientific method, applying some physics, and getting into engineering, just a taste of engineering, to see if they like it or if they don't like it. And then outside of the curriculum, this is where it gets really fun. We have a number of activities. Some are more listening. For instance, we have a life sciences club, which right now brings in speakers, engineering club, which is starting out by bringing in speakers. And then we've got the robotics team, which has been around, I think it's the 15th year now, going strong. These guys just got this year's challenge. So they're already formulating their plan on what they're going to build. They have their COVID rules in place on how they run their team meetings. We're going to be doing a remote competition this year, so they're going to build their robot. And we have the whole field in our building, and they're going to run it for the judges remotely when the time comes, and that's the right thing to do. And then on top of that, sort of the icing on the cake, is we have 2 brand new, unbelievable innovation labs, which I think you will hear about more later. But I would highlight that the robotics team is all over that. They have access to equipment they've wanted for years to design and build any part they want, any shape. We've always been limited by the shapes or what somebody else built that we then buy and try to apply to our ideas. And that stuff's gone. Now we can build whatever we want. So I think for folks out there who maybe hear the word STEM a lot, and does that happen here? Yes, it does. Science and math, rigorous in the classroom, all day, every day. And then technology and engineering, a lot of that is outside the classroom with these extracurricular opportunities for these students. I have a ton more to say, but I don't have a ton more time. So I want to thank you all for tuning in.
My name is Karson Bilezerian, and I'm an 8th grader here at St. Sebastian's. This year and also last year, I really enjoyed the science department and all the labs we've done. I remember last year, one of the first experiments that we did was with a penny, and you would have to come up with an idea to get the penny to go to a certain spot on the floor, and you would have to be at a certain distance away. My second favorite lab or experiment here that we've done was a metal wheel with 5 different metals on it, and we would have the same wax and put it over a Bunsen burner, and we would time it and see how long the wax would take to melt, because each metal would conduct a different amount of heat. I thank you all for coming to this open house night tonight. I really encourage your boys to come here. It's a great school and a great opportunity.
Hi, my name is Matt Burke, and I run the Innovation Lab here at St. Seb's. This space is an imaginative arena where we engage students in a hands-on learning experience where they can build practical and technical skills to provide themselves a solid base layer to build upon in college and in the future in their professional lives. This space is open for collaboration. We really try to engage the students in a student-to-student exchange of knowledge and ideas where students are learning from each other and teaching each other and sharing in their passions. One of the unique things about this space is that it allows students to pursue and find their passions without the pressures of deadlines, time limits, or a grade being attached to the work that they're doing and how they're learning. And I find that this allows students to really, find what they like, learn more about it at a pace that works for each individual. One of my favorite parts of the lab is the variety of projects going on in here at any one time. And no matter whether it's a robotics project, a student CADing a file to be 3D printed, somebody working on a design in Adobe to be sent to our laser cutter, we really preach this certain design thinking and design cycle where a student observes the problem that they're trying to either fix or improve upon. They define their goal, they generate ideas, they build a functional prototype, and then they test that out and analyze the test, get feedback from their peers, and then run through that whole cycle again. So our 3D printers are really great, as well as our laser cutters, providing these functional prototypes in a relative quick turnaround time to allow our students to really get their hands on these objects and learn what works, what doesn't work, tweak their design, and ultimately churn out a nice finished product at the end of their project. When we were forced to go hybrid back in the spring, one of the things that was really unique about the lab is that our software is available to the students to download to their personal computers. So students that are at home or distance learning can continue working on projects for the lab and are able to then send me the files electronically and sort of virtually get to use our equipment, like our 3D printers and our laser cutter. And one of our 3D printers actually has a camera so that you can monitor your work as it's being printed from anywhere that has internet access. We've been trying to find a way to sort of develop this virtual lab presence where students can still be engaged and still using our equipment and getting that virtual hands-on experience. Thanks for coming. I hope you enjoyed our virtual open house presentation.
Hi, I'm Tim Souza, a junior at SEBS, and I've been using the Innovation Lab in a variety of ways. One of the main ways I've been using the Innovation Lab is for Robotics Club. I'm the head builder, and the ability to come into the iLab, use our Fusion 360 software to design and then 3D print functional prototypes at a relatively quick pace is very useful. The trial and error process is crucial to designing functional parts that will eventually find their home on a robot. Regardless of what you're working on, the Innovation Lab is a great place to come in, share ideas, get input from fellow classmates, and build something that you otherwise couldn't have done alone. Thank you for coming to our virtual open house.
My name's Tom Harrington. I graduated from St. Sebastian's in 2010. I'm now in my 5th year as a member of the faculty. I teach both European and American histories. My favorite class I took here at St. Sebastian's was senior year, Advanced Topics with Mr. Cleary. You looked at controversial topics in American history in the 20th century. You know, whether or not the United States should have joined Europe's war in World War I, should we have joined the League of Nations, should we have aided the Allies during World War II before America got involved, how Kennedy handled the Bay of Pigs, the Cuban Missile Crisis, all that. So you learn everything about that topic, and then when it came time to it, the classroom transformed into the Situation Room. Mr. Cleary was the President of the United States, and you had to advise the President what course of action we should take. And that course right there actually led me to originally choose a career in international affairs. That was my major in college to start. I wanted to pursue something in diplomacy, foreign policy, and it was just because of that class right there and the energy and enthusiasm that Mr. Cleary brought to that classroom until eventually I just felt this pull back to St. Sebastian's. It's a special place, and I kind of always knew that I wanted to come back here. Now that I have the opportunity to work alongside some of my favorite teachers who not only instilled in me a passion for history, but also shaped me into the man I am today, is something that I don't take for granted, and it's something I'm looking to pass on with my students today. Thank you for joining tonight's open house. We hope you enjoy it.
My name is Connor Minahan, and I am a senior here at St. Sebastian's School. One thing about the history department that has really resonated with me is the passion that the faculty puts into the subject, and really how that reveals a passion out of all of the students. Another thing that's really evident about the history department is the emphasis on relating what you learn in the classroom to what's going on outside of the classroom in the real world. I would say that a lot of the things that we learn in U.S. history and modern European history apply really well to what goes on in what you see around the world. The history department really teaches you how to understand the opinions of others, and that applies across all subjects. We have a lot of open discussions and debates, and really everyone learns to accept the opinions of others, and that's something that is just crucial. Another thing that I have learned through the history department is how important it is to make relationships with your teachers. And again, that passion coming out as they sort of allow you to come into their classroom after school or after class and continue discussions that you're having in class, learning more about the material. It's been super beneficial to me to have a ton of faculty members in the history department allow me to see them after school and learn more about what I'm interested in. And that passion that they have really reveals to the students when you do that and you take advantage of the opportunity that they provide you, and you see them after school and you get to know them personally. It's really helped me grow as a history student and just a student in general. We all really appreciate you guys for coming to the open house tonight, and I hope that you had a really, really good time and learned a lot about the school. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Jim Rest, head of the math department here, and I'm here to talk to you about math. I'm hoping I can answer a few of the questions that people typically have. Number one, people say, what will the math class be that my son takes when he comes here? Well, obviously, depends on what grade he is, but I'll start with 7th grade. Most 7th graders, they take pre-algebra. But I say most because the answer is never all. How do we figure that out? Well, most 7th graders take pre-algebra when they come in here. That's because most 7th graders, that's the appropriate course. But there are some 7th graders that are ready for a greater math challenge. So what would they take? Well, most likely Algebra 1, although we have had 7th graders take geometry. So then the question is, how do we determine that? Well, we look at lots of things. We look at the class they were in last year. We look at their teacher recommendations. We look at their standardized scores. We talk to parents. Okay, we want to know what you think your son should do. The ultimate goal of us is to give every student a good, challenging math class, but also one that they're prepared for. Typically every year, anywhere from 6 to 10 7th graders take Algebra 1. So that same theme goes throughout their career. Every year we're trying to fine-tune exactly what class they should take. Might be a standard class, might be an honors class. There's movement every year from standard and honors. During 7th grade pre-algebra, there is no standard and honors distinction, but after that there is. So we're constantly trying to create a class that they can be challenged in, but they can also succeed. Often there are some students who are on the fence. When in doubt, we tend to move students up to the higher challenging honors class. The reason for that, something here called Math Lab. Math Lab operates during lunch periods. It's a room in the math wing occupied by 1 or 2 math teachers, and students can have lunch and still have time to come in and get some math help. Because we have the Math Lab, and that's in addition to students seeing teachers before school, students seeing teachers after school, we know that we can support students if they really want to be challenged. So that's really important to us. As math teachers, and I speak for the whole department, people are excited about students who want to learn and who want to push themselves. So the Math Lab, not only a great thing for students, it's also a great thing for teachers. Even if there's a game day, some students rushing off to a game, they can always get math help. The Math Lab is always open for business. So that's a big deal. When you think in the future, what classes could my son take here? We always have a class that will challenge them. Obviously at the high end, anything from AP Stats to AB Calculus, BC Calculus, yes, we have all those classes. But we also have a class beyond BC Calc. We typically call it Advanced Topics, Multivariable Calculus. We have never not run a class because there's not enough students to run the class. I've been here 32 years. That has never happened. We always run a class. We could run a class of 1 student. So if there's 1 student that's beyond BC Calculus, we will run that class, and we have done it. Typically, that class usually has 3 to 5 students in it. Very small, but not so crazy small as 1. Other things going on in the math department, in addition to all the classes and all the help and all the pushing we love to do, we also have math clubs. There's a math club called Math Madness. Typically, it's been for 7th and 8th grade. This year, we're also entering the high school division. It's an online competition. It's very fun, good competition. You're challenged against people randomly from across the country. Last year, we went to the Final Four, which was really fun. We were seeded number 91. We advanced all the way to the Final Four. So very fun for the kids, very fun for us as a school. But they do have fun just competing. Other things we have a varsity math team, which is basically the New England Math League. That's most applicable to sophomores, juniors, and seniors. Really hard math problems, really hard to get them all right. We also have a math club, separate math club for the 7th and 8th grade that typically operates after school. They do fun math competitions, and they also often get warm baked cookies from the kitchen. So that's what I have to say about math department. Hopefully that helps you figure things out. Really glad you tuned in to learn a little bit about St. Sebastian's at the open house. And again, I'm Jim Rest. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me.
Hi everyone, my name is Donald O'Connor. I am an 8th grade here at St. Sebastian's School, and this is my 2nd year. In 7th grade, I had a pretty rough start to math, and I realized that I was going to need some more extra help if I wanted to bring my grades up. So I decided to go to Math Lab, which was some extra help either at lunch or after school, where I could talk to some teachers and just go over some problems I had trouble with, and that really helped me throughout the year. And then also, just for fun, I joined a club called Math Madness, which is basically where you compete with other schools around the country. And so I joined it with all my friends. It was partly because they would give away donuts in the morning, that was kind of nice. But then it started to get more serious, and we actually ended up going Final Four in the country. So that was a pretty big deal, and it definitely brought all of us together as a group because at the time we didn't really know each other that well. Overall, those two things really helped me get settled in here and also helped me get settled in math. So thanks again for coming to the open house, and I hope to see you next year. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm Jim Ferguson. I'm a Latin teacher here at St. Sebastian's, and I'm actually in my 27th year here at St. Sebastian's. And I'm one of 6 faculty members who works on the chapel speaking program. And I work specifically with the seniors. So the fact that we have 6 faculty members working with students, it just shows you what a fundamental and important part of our program, the chapel speaking piece is. I would describe it really as a fundamental and joyful part of our curriculum. Every year, every student delivers a speech starting in grade 7. And I think it's one of the best things that we do actually as a school. And there's really a one-on-one relationship between a faculty moderator, and as I said, I work with the seniors. And in some ways, my job is the easiest. By the time students reach grade 12, they'll have delivered speeches in the previous 5 years. The senior speeches are in front of the entire school community of 400 people. Students talk about grandparents, parents, trips, things of a personal nature. It's also a great way to build community because you can often find out things about a student that you might not have known if you haven't taught the student. So I think it's a fantastic program, and it really goes hand in hand with our writing program. Students write the speech, it's edited with a faculty member, and they work through the mechanics of good writing, and then they practice it, rehearse the speech, deliver it in front of chapel, whether it's their grade level or ultimately in front of the entire school community. And it's just a fantastic way to kind of eliminate the fear of public speaking and to empower students to craft a good speech and to deliver it effectively in front of the entire school. So I think it's a tremendous program. Thank you very much for joining us at tonight's open house, and we look forward to hopefully seeing you all in the near future. Thanks very much.
Hello, my name is Andrew Hom, and I'm a junior. St. Sebastian's is an incredibly special place, but here St. Sebastian's not only teaches you the mind, but it also teaches and molds the heart. And what do I mean by teaches and molds the heart? The chapel speaking program is so amazing not only because it helps you get over your fear of public speaking, but because you listen to over 120 speeches a year. Therefore, writing and delivering your speech is only one part of the program. And I believe the major part of the program is listening and learning about your brother's most important memories and people in their lives. So throughout the chapel speeches, you get to learn about your classmates on a deep level. And as a result, you're going to see that the brotherhood here is strong. For example, 3 years ago, my dad had a significant health issue. I was so worried about him, and I felt a heavy weight on my shoulders. And I thought that I needed to pray for my dad more than ever. And in addition to going to church on Sundays, going to chapel at St. Sebastian's twice a week gave me a time and space to share all my worries to God. And during chapel and religion class, we have a chance to share someone whom we want to pray for, and then we'll all pray for that special person. And because of this, I felt like I was not alone, and everyone has their own struggles. And after going to chapel, I felt the weight slowly lift off my shoulders, and I'm happy to say that my father regained his health. And I'm so thankful to St. Sebastian's for giving my peers and me an opportunity to share our story. Thank you. Thank you for joining us in the open house, and I hope to see you guys next year.
I'm Sean Albertson. I chair a Department of Classics, which encompasses the study of both Latin and Greek, Latin being offered for our 7th graders through senior year, and Greek being offered to the seniors. There are 6 other full-time faculty who are involved in the teaching of the classics here at St. Sebastian's. The involvement of so many faculty speaks to the commitment which St. Sebastian's has to the study of classics, and also to the level of interest from our families and their sons. We seek to have the students read the great literature of Greece and Rome. We use the Ecce Romani reading-based approach, which allows us to move all the way forward to reading Virgil, to reading Cicero, Caesar, Ovid, and all the authors in the classical pantheon. Yet the classics extend to other important areas at St. Sebastian's. It certainly extends to the English classes with the vocabulary and the literature. It certainly extends to your son's history classes, and it goes to our Catholic traditions. The study of classics really does represent our intellectual rigor and our spiritual depth. The study of classics also offers great opportunities outside of the classroom. We have a very active Latin club, which annually sponsors a movie night. We sponsor a Latin Mass. We've had lectures on Roman sewers and on Roman roads. And we also make an annual pilgrimage to Holy Cross's Classics Day. And we prepare for that by having this Jeopardy-style question night. And that lets our teams compete in the academic contests. Our students also compete in the art contests up there, and we've had great results. The study of classics also takes our students to Rome. We go every other year, and it's always a very popular offering. These are all stories which you can read about on our webpage. So thank you and best wishes.
My name is Isaiah Stanfield. I'm a senior here at St. Seb's, and I started in 7th grade. And I picked Latin in 7th grade because it was something new for me. I'd done Spanish at my old school, and I thought, why not try something new, not really having any big expectations for it. And then 7th grade, my teacher was Mr. Albertson, and it was really a good intro to Latin. I learned all the grammar, vocab stuff necessary to go on further. And that's where I really fell in love with Latin, and staying after school to work with Mr. Albertson to really hone my skills, translating, understanding vocab, understanding the grammar components of Latin. And through that extra help process, it really spurred me to continue with my Latin journey. And I've gone all the way up through past Latin 4, which is the requirement, up to Latin 5, Advanced Seminar. And in Advanced Seminar, we spend a lot of time translating, doing presentations, watching movies about Latin. And I think the early years of my Latin career really helped me to encourage me to keep working through it, because each year I felt myself getting stronger, becoming a better translator. I'm really understanding the Latin culture, and those are the types of things that really drove me to continue with Latin. My favorite part of the Latin department at SEBS is the outside of the classroom activities we do. So my favorite in particular is the Latin movie night, because it gives you a time to sit down with your friends who are also in Latin to kind of relax outside of the classroom rigor and to really take looks into the Latin culture. So we watch Gladiator, we've watched 300 famous Latin movies that really help us see the culture in Latin and how they operated back then, which is really helpful. Thank you for coming to Open House Night. St. Sebastian's is an amazing school. I wouldn't change it for anything else in the world, and if I could, I would stay here for 4 more years.
I'm Shayna Gilman. I teach Spanish, and this is my 8th year here at St. Sebastian's. And I think back to my first year, and the head of the department shared with me one of the first couple of days that I began teaching that I'm never going to want to leave, and she couldn't be more right. That it's a unique space. We have an incredible opportunity to connect with the boys, with our students, primarily because we have such small groups of students that we work with in each of our classes. I've never had more than 12 students in a class. And what we can do that's really special, particularly with practicing the Spanish language, is we're able to dedicate most of our class time to just conversation. And the guys, because they're so comfortable with each other and we have such a great energy, they're able to experiment with the language and get goofy and have fun with it. And that you can do at any level, no matter your ability level in terms of your Spanish fluency. And I typically teach levels 3, 4, and AP, and by the time they get to that level, they're a little bit more advanced. They are a lot more comfortable engaging with what we call authentic resources, and that's typically something we do no matter what level they're in, but at a much more advanced stage, they're able to analyze articles and understand and interpret video footage that isn't necessarily intended for the Spanish classroom, but rather for the Spanish-speaking world. So one thing that's really wonderful is typically from one year to the next, we're able to take groups of students to different countries, Spanish-speaking countries specifically. We've gone to Spain, we've gone to Costa Rica, we've taken the kids to other parts of South America, and it's been an incredible chance for them to test their skills and immerse themselves in the language in a way that we're not necessarily able to provide in the classroom. But it's such a thrill to see them realize I can actually use what I've been learning in the class every single day, and it's so exciting. And so witnessing that success is so rewarding for me. And in fact, I've had students too who have heard my stories about studying abroad prior to beginning my teaching career, and we've had the chance to engage with these authentic resources from different countries, and they get inspired to study abroad when they're in college. And the best thing for me is to hear stories about students who have gone abroad. They come back and visit and they tell me, oh, Miss Gilman, I went to Argentina just like you suggested. And it's just the best thing in the world to know that they've been able to pursue the language beyond just their experience here with me. And that is exactly what we're looking for, is giving these kids the opportunity to engage with the language in a way that inspires them to use it beyond just what we do here at school, and developing and cultivating this curiosity for the language and for the culture, and thinking about it in a different way. Thank you so much for coming to tonight's open house.
My name is James Joyce. I'm a freshman here at St. Sebastian's, and when I first came to SEBS as a 7th grader, I really didn't know what to expect. Taking Spanish for the first time, really taking a formal language in a class for the first time, I really didn't know what was going to happen, and to be honest, I really struggled in the first few weeks, especially with the concept of conjugating verbs. It was something I hadn't really done or really thought of, because when we speak English, it just comes so naturally. But with Spanish, it's a whole new language with a whole new set of conjugations. So with the help of my teachers, I would meet with my teacher before school, after school, even during school, and I quickly understood the topic and I was able to move on. And now in my freshman year, we're speaking almost solely Spanish in the classroom. And just this week, we read and annotated an entire passage about the Spanish-Mexican culture, completely in Spanish. And just to see that, thinking back, the fact that I came into SEBS as a 7th grader and I really hadn't spoken any Spanish before, and now as a freshman, I'm taking an entire class only in Spanish. It's really incredible to see how far I've come in speaking Spanish. And I tell you that if you're wondering how you're going to do in speaking Spanish, it's really not a problem. I did not speak any Spanish before I came to SEBS, and as I told you before, I'm speaking a class entirely in Spanish now. So yeah, thank you very much for coming to tonight's open house, and I hope to see some of you guys as arrows next year.
My name is Courtney and I teach photography at St. Sebastian's. And I started teaching here 5 years ago. So there are a few projects at the school that I believe have been really amazing, not only in building the confidence and empowering our students to do things that are different, but also like get our students out into the community. So one of the projects is in the drama department. Every year, students submit scripts that they've written on their own. And one of the scripts is selected, and that student then goes on to produce, direct, choreograph, costume, cast, and bring together a team of students to create their own production on their own. And then they present it at a drama festival and numerous drama festivals around New England. And to me, that's amazing, because it's giving these students a confidence that maybe they hadn't had before, that they can go out there, they can do this thing on their own and create something interesting and creative and brilliant that other people can then see and enjoy. And then there's another project, the Memory Project, which is part of the art department. And what happens with the Memory Project is portraits, photographs from orphans from around the world, different spots like in Syria or Venezuela, are sent to the school, and our students get together and draw paintings from the portraits. And in doing so, they learn to connect with these kids in other parts of the world in a very unique and kind of deeper way than they would if they just saw the portrait. They're sitting there and they're spending time and looking at their faces and thinking and hearing their stories and learning about what their lives are like over in their countries. And once again, a place of building empathy and opening up their minds and connecting them to somebody outside of their worlds here. And that project I know has had a huge impact on our students, because they're not only learning the craft of art and painting and lighting, but they're learning to get out into the world and to understand maybe what it's like to be somebody in another country who might be living in a refugee camp or in the middle of a civil war, and to help them to become better citizens, global citizens in general and in their lives as they move forward. And another project which I started when I first came here is connected to my AP photography class. So with this project, my AP Photo students go into the Cotting School, which is the first day school in the United States to serve kids with disabilities. And we bring cameras in, and my students link up with photographers at the Cotting School. And over the course of 2 to 3 months, they work together, they learn how to take pictures, they spend time just getting to know each other. And a lot of these students have actually never even been able to take a picture before. So we're learning to adapt cameras to all different varieties of disabilities and opening up a whole world, a whole creative world for these students that in many ways haven't, in some cases, literally had a voice in the world. So my students get to know these new photographers one-on-one, and it opens their eyes up. And I always find that my students end up in many ways learning more from these new photographers than in many ways they could teach them. They learn that actually, you strip down everything on the outside, and at the core, we are all human, and we are all in many ways the same. To me, these are projects that help build that empathy and compassion and build that character of our students, which I think is the core and the beauty of this school. Thank you so much for attending the St. Sebastian's open house, and I hope you have a great night.
My name is Alessandro Barbiellini. I'm in 12th grade, and one of the first questions I asked coming to St. Sebastian's was sort of where I belonged. And as a classical musician, as somebody who was deeply ingrained in the arts, that question sort of lingered with me for my first few years at SEBS. And one of the first places I sort of found that sense of community, that sense of belonging, was actually in the drama club. In the drama club, I really found my voice. I was able to sort of stand up and deliver and perform in front of people and share my talents with others. And in the drama club, I was also able to find so many of my great friends who participate in the club as well. You meet so many new people in the club, whether they're aspiring actors or maybe they're people who just want to break from the usual pace at SEBS. So it's a really great community to be involved in, and you get to meet so many interesting people. Additionally, before every single sort of performance, there's sort of a special feeling that comes with you. We usually do something called a shakedown, which is where we start from 10 and we go down to 1, and we shake every single part of our body in order to feel the excitement that's going to come with every single performance. And in those moments, it's sort of a magical experience. You sort of really feel alive with your brothers. And then you get up there on stage and you perform. And after sort of that performance, you really feel a sense of connection. On stage, you're really working off each other's energy, and you're able to present something which you've really worked hard on. And as someone who has, explored the different arts at St. Sebastian's, it's really great that I can find this sense of community here, because many students, such as myself, might be looking for that community within the fine arts, and St. Sebastian's definitely has to offer that. Many of my friends, for example, like to participate in certain extracurricular activities that are not involved with academics or sports, and they might find something here in the fine arts department. I know some of my friends are strictly focused on the arts, and St. Sebastian's has many different opportunities for them to explore that as well. So here in St. Sebastian's, we really stress that sense of community, and the Fine Arts Department is another place where you can find it and where you can meet new people and explore new areas which you've never really considered before. So I'd like to thank you and invite you to be with us at the St. Sebastian's community, and thank you for coming for the virtual open house.
Good evening. My name is Dave Hinman. I'm Director of Athletics at St. Sebastian's. In addition to leading the athletic program, I teach math and coach the varsity basketball team. Athletics is an important part of the culture of our school. Although we do not require our students to compete on interscholastic teams, nearly 75% of the boys do compete each season. We offer 14 different sports, with most of them competing at the varsity, junior varsity, 9th, 8th, and 7th grade level. We play in the 16-team independent school league, which is widely considered the most prestigious league in all of New England. There are a few significant reasons why I believe our boys choose to play for our teams and why they enjoy their experience so much. First, like many aspects of the school, there's a great spirit to St. Sebastian's athletics. You hear it over and over in our chapel talks, in the halls, and around campus. Kids take pride in wearing the red and black uniform and want to be part of something great. Second, the teacher-coach model is something we remain committed to. Nearly all of our coaches are full-time faculty members at the school. The same people who are working with the kids in the classrooms are coaching and mentoring the boys in the afternoon. Finally, if you want to be part of a team, you can. With the exception of golf and squash, we do not make cuts below the varsity level. There is a place for all student athletes at St. Sebastian's. Our teams have recently won numerous league titles, and we are incredibly proud of that fact. But even more importantly, athletics is viewed as an extension of the classroom where the values of teamwork, sportsmanship, and hard work are at the core of everything we instill in our athletes. Over the coming months, there will be opportunities to meet our athletes and coaches, and I would encourage you to do so. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and I look forward to meeting you in the admissions process.
Hello, my name is Hansen. I'm a senior here at St. Sebastian's. I'm a captain of the football and basketball team. My experience through the athletics department has been awesome so far. The teacher-coach model does a great job of building relationships with students and their teachers and coaches. Personally, I've had almost all of my coaches in a class. My head football coach is currently my English teacher. My head basketball coach is currently my math teacher. And also the support we get from the students and faculty in Henry's Corner is awesome. No matter what sport it is, there's always student support from both students and faculty in Henry's Corner. It's been really awesome getting to watch a lot of the games with my friends and seeing coaches there at the games too. And while you're playing, knowing all your friends are there watching, and even your teachers and headmaster, assistant headmaster, the entire faculty is out supporting you, makes it a really great experience. Thank you for tuning in today's open house. I hope you enjoyed everything you had to see today.
I hope you enjoyed the program this evening and that the testimony of our students and faculty resonated with you. We would love for you to continue the process with us by scheduling an interview or by attending one of our virtual events. Please be in touch and let us know how we can help with any aspect of the process. We look forward to getting to know you and your family. Thank you again for attending. Have a great night.